Multiple generations of men have maintained this mill since the 18th century. It sits here right in the middle of a modern city, seemingly defying the changes of history. This is the story of the John Goffe's Mill. Colonel John Goffe was an officer in the New Hampshire militia. He participated in the Dummers War and the King George's War. Eventually, he would find himself at the He would participate in the Dummers War and the King George's War. Eventually, he would find himself at the Bowman Brook, which feeds into the Merrimack River. In 1744, he would construct a grist mill. This is a special type of mill designed for grinding food products like grain. Later, it would serve as a sawmill. In 1754, the colonial state of New Hampshire would call him back into service to fight in the French and Indian War. He would serve in Joseph Blanchard's regiment and would fight in several battles, such as the Battle of Lake George, Carlin, Fort William Henry, Ticonderoga, and Montreal. The colonel would eventually return to the mill, however, it would mostly remain dormant. When the war ended, he would return to the mill. However, it would lie dormant for a while as he had very little time to operate it. With the onset of the American Revolution, he would become heavily involved in politics as he was an avid revolutionary. His son, Major John Goffe, would take over the operations of the mill, and his son, Theodore Goffe, would also take over operations when he came of age. By the late 19th century, the mill would begin to fall into a state of disrepair. In 1909, there would be a flood that severely damaged it. At this point, it seemed like the mill would be gone forever. Entered Dr. George Woodbury, an author and a descendant of Colonel John Goffe. He would purchase the mill in 1939, and he would begin to rebuild it. In the 1940s, the mill would reopen. It was fully operational. Dr. Woodbury would drum up publicity for the mill by making handmade furniture here. He even wrote a book all about its history. I actually purchased the book off of eBay, although a different book came in, so unfortunately I don't have it here to show you. But I'll put it up on the screen so you can see what it looks like if you're interested in learning more. Dr. Woodbury would sell the mill to the Dudley family in 1961. The Dudleys were real estate developers who always dreamed of constructing a luxury hotel. Construction would soon begin on the land around the mill, and in the mid-60s, the Wayfarer Hotel would be completed. The hotel would become a staple of local culture, and soon it would become famous all across the country. During election season, New Hampshire would hold the very first presidential primary, and it's for this reason that presidential candidates would always stop at the hotel on their campaign trail. The hotel also featured a restaurant that overlooked the mill and the Bowman Brook. Between politicians, high-profile business meetings, and even school graduations, the Wayfarer Hotel was the place to be. The mill would close to the public in the 60s, and has remained so ever since. The Wayfarer Inn would be open for nearly half a century, before closing down in 2010. In 2015, it would be demolished. The area where the hotel once was is now home to apartments. However, the mill still stands. Before the hotel was demolished and the land was sold to new developers, there was one stipulation in the contract, that the old mill must remain standing. And so, it is still here, defiant to the changes of the times. The mill and the hotel that was once on its land are both very important parts of New Hampshire's history. and they will never be forgotten.
Empty this space to let her throw it up.